evening, good afternoon, good morning, good morning, good morning, wherever you are in your part of the world. Welcome to Earth's #1 psychic radio network. You're right here with me on the Ask One radio network. You're right here on Moonstruck TV. This is, as our lovely producer said, the Spirit Phoenix Rising Show, and I am your host, Renee Lynn. Now, it has been a crazy 24, 48 hours. By the time I check in with you guys, it seems on a weekly basis, a lot of tumultuous and interesting things are happening. But you know what? We're going to put all of that aside tonight. We're going to tune in to our minds, our hearts, our spirits, and we're going to reflect on some of the joy of the upcoming season. You know, I was thinking we had Halloween, we've got Thanksgiving come up, we're coming into the holidays. And the holidays are a gift, right? And I've got a gift for you tonight. I have a marvelous guest who is going to bring you not only some of her gifts with her practice, but she has a special gift for each and every one of us, like a real thing that you can take home. And if you stay tuned to the end of the show, we'll tell you how to get it. You know, have you guys ever noticed, though, some people just seem to have the Midas touch, that everything they touch turns to gold, right? I mean, they just seem to have all the luck in the world. Well, oftentimes people like this have a little bit of a hack. They have a little bit of a trick going, if you will. They are in tune with the spiritual universal law. My guest tonight is I guess you would call her quite a practitioner and an expert with the law of attraction, okay? So, guys, please help me welcome Celia Sasser, an author and an amazing law of attraction expert. Let's bring her on. You with me, Celia?
Yep, I'm here.
All right. So welcome. I just want to make sure that we had our technical vibe going here, that we're all in here together. So the law of attraction, right? It's like you gave me a gift today about the law of attraction. You shared with me this amazing book you wrote that has a lot of tips and tricks to get people interested and into the practice of using this universal law that's accessible to all of us. I mean, can you share a little bit about how you put this book together and your background?
Well, for me, I channel all of my information. I did work with in one of Bob Proctor's program from The Secret. But for me, it's just, it comes naturally with the law of attraction and manifesting. My background as an interior designer, I visualize easily, and so I see the big picture first when I'm working, and then it's like everything comes to you, and it's manifesting where I didn't even realize I was manifesting at the time. But I think a lot of us don't realize that we're manifesting.
You know, when The Secret came out, I mean, that really sort of kick-started the popular culture back into the idea of prosperity consciousness. And this is really not anything new. If we go back to the early 20th century, we think of the work of Napoleon Hill and Think and Grow Rich. But can I tell you a quick little anecdote about an experience I had with The Secret movie? So I, had seen this film, and I was very impressed with, what Rhonda had put together and all of the amazing teachers in this film. And I thought to myself, my gosh, if I could just manifest a meeting with some of these people, how could this change my life? And the next day I actually went to a gathering with some friends, ended up sitting down to this random girl I hadn't seen before. We started chatting, and then her boyfriend, who's now her husband, comes over, and it turns out to be Drew, the director of The Secret. So it was just a very specific request that I put out there and was not overly attached to. but I took an action step by going to this meeting, and unbeknownst to me, it's as if universal secret hands were putting me in the right place at the right time.
That's amazing. Yeah, it can work like that, but I think that because usually when people are ready to practice, they're coming from a place of a dire need. So they're in this lack and scarcity mindset, which is creating resistance because you're in the energy of not believing that you are worthy of it. So it's really important that you, it's almost like a knowing. You just know it's yours and you surrender to it, and then you're able to call it in. But when you are, out of a dire need, then it's an energy that's pushing it away from you. And like I like to tell my clients that you can see how you are thinking internally when you just look at your surroundings, because everything that you are feeling on the inside, you are manifesting outwardly. And so if you don't believe that you are manifesting, think about your thoughts and then look at your surroundings and see how it reflects.
Yeah, and I feel anecdotes like the one I just shared are a bit dangerous because one of the most important things with this universal law is it's not passive. It's a very active kind of process. And I mentioned about not being attached, but that doesn't mean that we should detach from actions and planning. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, I totally agree. And that's what happens. There's a lot of information out there where people believe that they can just, picture it in their mind and think about it and it's going to happen. But you have to have the action piece. And what happens is your conscious mind you will think of what you want, but by envisioning it, you put it into your subconscious mind. And because your subconscious mind doesn't know what is real and what is not, it will move you into action. Because your subconscious mind wants you to manifest what it is that you're believing is already yours. And so you have to take the action, and that is acting as if. So, when I first started this work, I was kind of thrown off by acting as if. What do you mean acting as if? But for instance, if you are, say you're an entrepreneur and you're creating a business, and you have this big image of what you are creating, but then you're sitting around waiting for it to happen and you're not taking action like you've already have this business, then nothing manifests. So it's even just taking on the role, showing up differently because this is what you're creating. If that makes sense.
Oh, it makes total sense. I want to refer back to the lovely, piece of writing that you sent me today. And, it had the Fool. Right? The idea of the tarot, which I know we both have a big liking for, that's something we share. But, in the Fool's journey, we look at this first card in the tarot and we see a character that is about to step off the precipice into the void. And, we as the viewer, and we're not sure that he or she as the character is seeing where they're going. And, what you're bringing up is the seeing is such an important aspect of this entire process, the image, the imagination. I think of the character, playing off the words imagination, I, magic, I, the self, the eyes that we see. Can you talk more about this visualization and how people can activate their own imagination and creativity? Some people think that they don't have the power to do so, but they do.
Yeah, well, if you think about, like I gave an example, think of a purple butterfly. Mm-hmm. And when I say purple butterfly, you see the image of it. Well, that's how easy it is. But what happens is when we are wanting to manifest something bigger than us, then there's that fear of taking a risk. And so we don't have a clear picture, so then that's when you have a hard time visualizing. So that's why if it's something simple, like say you're going out to dinner and you're wanting to find an outfit, and you go out shopping, it's like you have this vision of what you want to wear. You've already thought of this vision of what you're looking for. And then you go out searching for it and you end up finding it. It comes to you. But when it's something bigger and you don't believe in it, that you can have it, then that's why it's hard to visualize it. So the number one universal law is the law of order. And in order to manifest what you desire, you have to create an image. By creating the image, then the order comes. And then you start taking the steps towards what it is that you're desiring. So even with visualizing, I tell my clients, if you can just get in the practice, because when we tell ourselves that we can't visualize, when we all visualize, we speak in picture, we create movies all the time. But when you're telling yourself, it's because you're afraid of taking the risk. You're afraid of being the fool, and taking your first leap into the unknown. So you start from your current results. And by starting from your current results, you tell yourself, I can't have it. Because you look at your bank account, or you look at, most people think when they want something, they have to change who they are in order to receive it. And so the premise of it is you really have to get back to your self-worth. You have to know that you're deserving of it in order to call it in. So if you're already doubting that you don't deserve it, then you're going to get exactly what you're putting out. That's where a lot of people are, attracting what they don't want, and they don't realize it. And they're just like, why does this keep happening to me? Well, what are you thinking about? It's, what are you thinking about? You're calling it in.
Yep. It's interesting, too. We talk about what we're seeing with that, but, with a lot of the folks that I work with in this realm, too, I remind them that it's not just in the realm of seeing. That's huge. But I also would like to remind them, too, about the language and the words. I think back when I was a younger person and not savvy or tuned into this idea, I would speak about, oh, I can't afford that, or why can't I, blah, blah, blah. And using those negative words in our sentences create boundaries that I think contribute to that resistance.
Well, spell work is not called spell work for a reason. It's spelling, so your words are powerful. You manifest what you speak.
You're right. When I switched gears as a young person from why can't I have, and making a question and staying in the realm of curiosity to how can I receive such and such, a huge shift happened in my life. It just ignited abundance for me. It just turned everything around with just these simple little things that you're talking about. But people need to commit to it and be specific, don't you think?
Yeah, well, you have to paint the clear picture.
Yes.
I like to say, we're creating a movie in our mind of what we want reality to be. But if we're not clear on it, it's like when you're watching TV and those ads come in, or, there's a flood warning, pops up on your screen. That's kind of when you don't have a clear picture, you're all over the place. And so when you have a clear picture, that's when your spirit guides show up and start bringing the how. That's when you start feeling supported. That's when you know what the next action step is. That's when you trust your intuition and you start following the breadcrumbs. So if you don't believe it, you're deserving of it, you're going to throw the idea out the window.
I see. Yeah. I think you're right about that. Could you speak a little bit about how vision boards might be a key to this inner work for people, and maybe even explain a little bit what a vision board is for folks who aren't familiar?
Yeah. So vision board is where I think it's very spiritual. It's not just about getting a bunch of pictures and putting it up on a board. So I like to tell my clients that create a sacred space, light a candle, put some music on, and just really honor yourself during this process. Because what you will find, you can use, most people, because they want something quick, they'll use something like Pinterest and create a board on Pinterest, which is fine because you can carry it with you. But there's some magic in creating it with your hands and just making this collage. But what you will find is when you're creating a vision board, you might say, well, I don't know what I want. I don't know what my big picture is. But when you start looking through magazines, your intuition, your spirit will start guiding you. And then certain phrases will pop out, and you'll find yourself cutting out words, and then all of a sudden you have this story that you didn't even know was inside of you. And now you're able to see what you're truly desiring in an image. And then what happens is, because you have it on a board, now you're setting the intention. So every time you look at the board, so I really recommend putting it somewhere where you're going to see it on a regular basis, because that is setting the intention and you're speaking it into existence. Because you are focused on it, and because the desire is building up in you even more, you're wanting to take the action because you're really seeing what it is that you truly want. See, most people say, I don't know what I want, because they don't give themselves permission to dream big. They don't believe that they're deserving of it. So it's easier to say, I don't know what I want, because then you don't have to take any risks. You don't have to be the fool and take a leap of faith.
I like what you said about speaking it into existence. For many people who might have resistance about these ideas, I like to refer them back to Genesis. Go back to the Bible. In the beginning was the Word. The idea that creation is seated in vibration and emanation and sound. You were saying it before, spell work. I mean, there's really, really something there. And when we tie that sense to the visual, I really think the possibilities are endless. And I know you have a background with interior design and artistry. I've got a background in that. And, we use mood boards all the time, don't we? In order to communicate with ourselves what we're wanting to bring about, but to share that vision with others, and when we do these vision boards, we're sharing it with spirit, we're sharing it with self, right?
Right. And it's bringing the picture together, so it does create order in your mind. And what I like to say too, if you're going after something big, I've said this plenty of times, starting with your current results, that's what everyone does. But when you're creating the image and you've created this movie, it's better to start backwards from the image. And because we're taught when you're goal setting, you're going to climb the ladder, you're going to meet it. And so it's like this feeling, it's like a hurdle, like you've got to climb the next step to the next step to receive what you want. But if you look at it that way, you're going to give up before you even start, because you're starting from your current results. But when you start backwards and you think of, okay, I have this big image of what I'm creating. Now, what's the next step before that? What do I have to do? And you're kind of going backwards. Then you're not in your way anymore, because you're taking this image and you're not looking at your circumstances and saying, I can't afford it, I can't have this right now, I don't have, whatever. If you're calling in a relationship and you say, oh, I don't have the perfect body, or I don't have, the perfect job, or whatever it is, the stories that we tell ourselves, because these are all limiting beliefs that we've had programmed onto us as children, from the media, from our family, from society, of all their expectations of what they see, who we are. And so we don't even know who we are anymore, because we're just living our lives from what other people have projected onto us. What I like to tell my clients is we're all on our own karmic journey. And so what someone else's perception is, if you're giving your power away and you're asking everybody, what do you think about this? You're creating this big dream and you're wanting to manifest it, but you don't trust yourself and you're asking someone else's opinion. You're giving your power away because their perception is different. Because they're on their own karmic journey. So they might try to talk you out of it, but that's because they don't believe in themselves. They don't know that they could manifest that. So they'll try to talk you out of it and say it's a dumb idea. But if it's your vision, I like to call it a spiritual seed. It's the universe is full of ideas. We're all one consciousness. And so we can pull those, we're connected. We are connected to source energy. When our crown chakra is open, we get downloads. When you get a download that is for you, you will feel a full yes in your body. And then the minute we get this great idea, we're like, no, that's a dumb idea. No, that would never work. But it was a spiritual seed that was given to you. And you won't know if it's going to work if you don't take the time to nurture it. You've got to plant it first and see where it's going to take you. And so it's really just believing in yourself is the first, is knowing that you are worthy of it. And what I always tell my clients, that the minute that you place your order with the universe, you will receive tests. So, for instance, with me, I have been pivoting out of my interior design business. And so I've been kind of playing with both aspects of what I'm building now, because I have this huge spiritual seed that I'm working on right now. So it's like I'm working on that, and then I have my interior design business that I'm trying to pivot out of. And so I'm still taking clients, but every time I take a client, I know it's a no. It's exhausting. My body's contracting. And so that's where you have to listen to yourself intuitively, because if you say yes to the very thing that you don't want, then your spirit guides are going to say, well, I guess that's what she wants, and you're going to get more of what you don't want.
You're right. You got to pay attention to those feelings. My producer's letting us know that we're coming soon to the end of the show, but I want people to know how they can get this free gift, how to get this wonderful book, where to go to your website or your Facebook page. Share that with the folks before we bounce.
You can head over to CeliaSasser.com, and you will find it in the shopping section. There's a link there. You can get your free copy, and it's an ebook that you can download, and so you can get it right now.
Right on, and that's CeliaSasser for those who aren't watching on video. If they're just listening, CeliaSasser.com, you said?
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Well, I got to thank you so much for helping everybody here activate their own personal power of manifestation and the law of attraction. It was a pleasure speaking to you, and I hope we get to do it again and we can manifest another talk together.
Yes, that would be great.
All right, magical lady, thank you so much for joining me. I'm Renee Lynn in the Spirit Phoenix Rising Show. Gosh, I'm so excited I can't talk. But yeah, find us on Facebook. You can find me at ReneeLynnSpirit.com. And we'll check you out next time, listeners. Bye-bye, everybody. Thanks so much.